perfect. Yes, as I said, we are pleased to have Katherine Connors and Andrea Bolanos with us here to present on the topic of research participant engagement. Katherine Connor has worked in clinical research at Stanford since 2010 and has a background in public health. I was admitting and I lost track of my thoughts. Sorry about that. She has a background in public health. She leads the Research Participant Engagement Program at Stanford, which aims to engage participants as partners in research via outreach within Stanford and beyond. Katherine is passionate about increasing awareness of the importance of research participation and leveraging shared expertise to engage diverse patient population and communities in research. Thank you so much for being here, Katherine, with us. And then we have Andrea Bolanos, who is a bilingual program coordinator and has a background in public health, specifically community public health practices. She works alongside Katherine, focusing on participant engagement consultations, honest broker outreach, research registry, and Spanish translations and community outreach. Andrea is passionate about engaging underrepresented and diverse populations in research. Thank you so much for Andrea as well for being here. I hand it over to you, Katherine and Andrea. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea, and I am the bilingual program coordinator for the Research Participant Engagement Program. We're largely CTSA funded, and we're under the PI Ruth O'Hara. This will be our agenda today. So we will review our program and services. Then we will go over a strategizing worksheet, best practice for disseminating results, and then we'll wrap up with a question and answer. So we welcome questions, comments, ideas throughout the presentation. Please use the chat or raise your hand. We will be breaking out into breakout rooms, so if you can, please turn on your video when you are in the breakout rooms, mute yourself when you're not speaking, and we encourage participation. So this is the Stanford's land acknowledgement. Stanford sits on the ancestral land of the Mawiki Ohlone tribe. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. Consistent with our values of community and inclusion, we have a responsibility to acknowledge, honor, and make visible the university's relationship to Native people. And in the community engagement part 1, there is also shared a labor acknowledgement. So we would like to share that once more. We must acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the violent and coercive nature of exploitation and forced labor of indigenous peoples, enslaved Africans, Chinese and Japanese immigrants, and migrant workers from the Philippines, Mexico, and Central and South America. Okay, so we are going to start out with introductions, a little icebreaker, and we will be put into breakout rooms. So you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. And then we'll have a couple questions. What research area do you work in? What has been your experience engaging participants? What are the challenges? Or what has worked well? Have you been a research participant? How was your experience? And what made you interested to attend this workshop? And we will add these questions once you're in the breakout rooms as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrea. I will send you all to the breakout room. It will be random assignment, so please just feel free to engage and introduce yourself. And I will put the the questions that you can ask each other in the chats. I believe you will have access to these chats in the breakout rooms. So let me assign you, and I will put that in the chats as well. Okay. So that is in the chats, and I will assign you. Okay. It's saying that, okay, just give me a second here, sorry. Okay, what is going on here? Sorry. We have about 32 people or 30, okay. Okay, so that's it. All the rooms are open, please join. I guess everyone has returned to the main room. So I guess we can get started.
Great. Welcome back, everyone. Would anyone like to share anything interesting that they heard in the breakout room, or specifically their own experiences with engaging participants or challenges?
I'll volunteer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I worked in research for 9 years at Stanford, 3 years at Duke. And I think one of our, with most places and many academic institutions, depending on where you're located, with Stanford being in Palo Alto, of course, diversity of research participants is always a challenge. We had kind of a similar issue with participant engagement. At Duke, we had more diversity, but it still wasn't what we wanted or needed. So I think that's pretty common for many academic organizations trying to recruit and diversify participant recruitment and retention. But I think one of the best ways to help with that is to engage and hire diverse staff. So, bilingual staff, a diverse racial, ethnic individuals, and really go out into the community to let the community know that these opportunities are available, and that it's really important that we enroll not just white participants, which is the majority of the participants that we have enrolled, specifically when I was working on pulmonary studies at Duke. So.
Right. Yes, that is a common one that we have heard and are trying to address. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, if not, we can move on. So go ahead, and now we will speak on our problem statement, which is majority of studies don't draw enough participants. So participant recruitment is one of the greatest challenges to successful clinical research, kind of what we just talked about. Also, clinical trials suffer from a lack of diversity and inclusion, and Stanford is seeking ways to adequately represent diverse populations in clinical studies. Okay, and this here is our team, the participant engagement team, which consists of myself, Katherine, who is the Associate Director, and Maya Bertachensky, the Trial Innovation Network Hub Manager. We work closely with TDS, the Technology and Digital Solutions team, on both the children's EPIC side and the adult side. Our faculty advisors are Aruna and Anisha Patel. And you may also notice how rather than saying recruitment, we say participant engagement. This is intentional, as recruitment has a more transactional definition, and we want to encourage participants as partners in research. This is what our program entails. So we start with consultations with study teams, and from our platform known as PEP, the Participant Engagement Platform, we send out honest broker study invitations. There's different methods that these invitations are sent out. It could be through direct email, Children's Epic My Chart, postal mail, and now SHC Epic My House. And I will get into those later on in the presentation. We also have Beyond Stanford Outreach, which consists of social media resources, tabling events, and we also have a research registry that is a REDCap database of about 12,000 research volunteers. We also offer community engagement guidance and referrals to both the Office of Community Engagement and the Maternal and Child Health Community Engaged Research. We also provide guidance about other resources at Stanford and externally, such as the CTSA Trial Innovation Network. We do have a participant engagement strategizing worksheet that can be found here, and we will share these slides with you. So you will have that as well. This is the IRB recruitment guidance. We include this just to highlight that it says that there's no cold contact from study team. So it should always be clear to patients why and how they are being contacted for research. Okay, so what is an honest broker? I've been saying that here in this presentation. So an honest broker in this case means we send study invitations on behalf of the study team. So only when potential participant expresses interest do we pass their contact info onto the study team. So there's no PHI that is shared until they express interest. The only con that we have from the honest broker is that it does not leverage a treating relationship, but we can also do we can also support scalable large outreach as well. Okay, and this is just an overview at the top of what the participant engagement intake form consists of. We have you fill this out before a consultation. And then we also request that you have Encore registration, and it is per participant accrual. We also provide guidance for IRB modifications, STAR cohort creation, and EPIC registration. So we work together with the Spectrum/Research Office. As I mentioned, we would need Encore registration, per participant accruals, but we work closely with the Trial Innovation Network and the CRUs, the Clinical Research Unit. So STAR is the Stanford Research Repository tool. This tool pulls EHR data from the hospitals, and you can go ahead and use the cohort discovery, which is the pre-IRB de-identified data, and chart review as well. This does require IRB privacy approval, but you can only outreach to your own patients. And this is where Honest Broker comes in. Our platform, known as PEP, the workflow identifies potential participants by applying the study's inclusion-exclusion criteria to the Stanford STAR database. And from there, PEP sends out the invitations, depending on what we expressed would make most sense for the study team, which could be My Chart, My Health, direct email, or postal mail. And PEP does track age, race, and sex metrics, and we can modify outreach to increase representation. Okay. So Stanford has launched an initiative known as We Ask Because We Care, and it captures and includes more precise demographic questions. We see here that it consisted of 3 phases, but we're excited about this because it includes more inclusive, granular data, and our data is only as good as the EHR. So this is something that we are looking forward to and leads us to a new PEP feature known as demographic optimization, which will help diversity participants' populations. So we are able to track this information, as well as we can target specific populations and prioritize when we do the outreach based on race, ethnicity, or sex. And additional categories such as age ranges, pregnancy status, disabilities, and SOGI will be added in the next phases. Okay. So this is just another way to look at our outreach. So we can see here that the top half is to Stanford patients through the STAR database, and then underneath it's beyond Stanford. So Stanford, it is an opt-out model. So patients may be invited to research until they opt out of a specific channel, but it's not guaranteed that they won't be invited to research some other ways at Stanford, where the registry is an opt-in model. So these potential participants are saying, please reach out to me if there is a study that pertains to me. This is what the direct email invitation looks like. So this would be the template that we would send to your study team, that you would put your study information in. And you can see here, they would be able to click, yes, I'm interested, no, I'm not interested, or unsubscribe. This is what the MyChart email tickler looks like on the MyChart dashboard. You can see here that the email subject says new research opportunity. Originally, it did say new message, but after we received some feedback from the Stanford Children's Parent Family Advisory Committee, they suggested for us to change it from new message to new research opportunity. And once they click on the message, they'll be able to say, I'm interested, or no, thank you. And same thing goes here. This is just the SHC My Health dashboard. And this would be what they receive for the My Health messages. Okay, and this is the Stanford Research Registry. So it was launched in April of 2020. Now we have about 12,000 registrants. 60% are adults and 40% are under 18 years old. This registry has been shared on a national level, but it is mainly Bay Area focused with the participants that are on it right now. If you are interested in a national registry, this is where Research Match comes in, and it is a project that started in 2010 and is fully funded by the NIH. It is run by Vanderbilt, and it is a tool that is available to study teams here at Stanford. We also partner with a company known as Study Pages. So this is a directory where you can put your study, and it started with a Study Pages COVID study directory, which has now been expanded to non-COVID studies. You may notice that our Stanford Clinical Study Directory is getting some enhancements very similar to Study Pages. This is what the directory looks like. So you can see that there's a nice landing page description based on the consent form. So it is at a 8th grade reading level. You can see that it has a nice graphic, search terms, clear contact information, easy sign up. And if your team wishes, we can also add a pre-screener. This is what you'll see on your end, which is the study team facing all-in-one participant management dashboard, where you can log calls, visits, and it even offers HIPAA compliant text messages. Okay, and I know this was covered in detail in part 1 of this workshop, but to review, we do have the TA request form that you can fill out to get some recommendations from the community engagement colleagues. And okay.
All right, that was a lot. Thank you, Andrea. We could pause here. Any questions so far on what Andrea has covered? Okay, feel free to enter in the chat during the presentation too, so we can come to it as you think of questions. All right. So yeah, just to reiterate here, if you're interested in improving community engagement for your study, the TA intake here is a great way to start. You can see that the following entities share this form: Office of Community Engagement, Office of Cancer Health Equity and Community Engagement, the Department of Medicine Community Partnership Program, the Stanford Maternal Child Health Research Institute's Office of Community Engaged Research, and the Department of Pediatrics Office of Child Health Equity. I thought it was really wonderful that they created this form to help route teams to the correct folks for that technical assistance.
So there is a question in the chats.
Oh, thank you.
And a comment they are asking, because this is part 2 of the part 1, which was the part 1 was community engaged research, and this is participant engagement in research. So part 1 is recorded. Yes, it is on our website. You can access it. And if you attended part 1, it was emailed to you. The link was emailed to you and the slides as well. But please reach out to me if you want to have access to the slides as well. I will be more than happy to share. The question is what to get access to the various research database, and what are the costs associated?
Okay, depends, I guess, what you may be asking. Feel free to unmute yourself if you don't mind to clarify your question, but various research databases. So certainly like STAR that Andrea covered is at no cost for the cohort discovery tool. And then you can do a self-serve custom chart review, also no cost. You can do office hours with the RIC. Stanford's RIC is Research Informatics Center, a couple different acronyms with RIC. I believe it's like the first hour is free. And if you need more custom reporting, then they have like an hourly fee that they can tell you the costs for that. And then population health sciences, they have a number of research databases that you have access to. So feel free to reach out if you have a specific question on that. We can try to answer it.
I guess, yeah, I don't see Irakli. We want to unmute yourself. I guess the question was how to get access, maybe that's what it meant, and what are the costs. So you're mentioning that they can directly reach out to you on the hows and details.
Mm-hmm. So
we have a hand raised.
Question.
Sumitra, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. So a quick question. So my study that I'm working on right now, we aren't like currently open to accrual yet because we're just like waiting on some IRB amendments, but do we need to like be open to accrual to start having these conversations about recruitment through like STAR and the honest broker and that sort of thing?
Great question. We really love you to reach out to us as early as possible. So it's really never too early, honestly. Our intake form does ask for an e-protocol number, but you can just leave that blank if you don't have your IRB number assigned yet. It's actually ideal if you meet with us pre-grant, because then we can inform your participant engagement budget, recruitment budget, which is often under budgeted for research. So never too early to reach out to us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. I will keep going, but do please keep sending your questions. Appreciate it. So I'm presenting this on behalf of our other teammate, Maya Berdichevsky, who's also here to answer any specific questions. She's our Trial Innovation Network Hub Liaison. So the Trial Innovation Network is basically the CTSA program network. So we're a CTSA hub, and there's 60 plus other CTSA hubs throughout the country. So really powerful for multi-site research when there's collaboration within this network. Expert methodological and logistical guidance, competitive funding advantage, and access to the entire network. So TIN offers investigators consultations, and again, more of this multi-center research resources, protocol development, community engagement studios, recruitment planning, feasibility assessment, recruitment materials, EHR-based tools and resources, trial budgeting guides. In particular, we really love the new social media guidance that they've published on their site. So we will also be referencing that on our website soon, because we thought, hey, they put this together so nicely. Let's share that. So 2 ways to get involved. The local TIN liaison team, which is like mainly Maya, and I'm part of it as well, will connect investigators with multi-site clinical trials initiated by other network sites, or Stanford investigators may submit proposals to be the lead site for the multi-site trial through the TIN. So Maya's contact is here if you have any specific questions regarding how to get involved. And please do check out the website here. It has a ton of amazing resources.
I
and
have a question
Oh, yes.
directly sent to me. Is this after the award is approved?
Maya, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself to speak to the timing there.
Yeah, really great question. I'm so happy you asked it. The earlier, the better. While you put your proposal, your grant together, is the best time to make the most of Trial Innovation Network resources. Most of them at this stage would be free. So you'll get consultations. You can ask all of the other CTSAs to look into their electronic health record and see numbers for cohorts, and that can help you design your study. You can identify potential sites while you're building your proposal. You can get letters of support while you're building your proposal before you submit the grant. So the earlier, the better. Really good question. Thanks.
And second part to that question is, does this have to be investigator initiated?
It does not. It can be any type of sponsor. It doesn't even have to be NIH funded. Any type of sponsor. It has to be either fully decentralized or needs to be beyond Stanford, where you feel like you don't have the population here. You want to go beyond Stanford, so you think you might need at least two more sites to get to what you need, and then it qualifies.
Great. Okay, thanks, Maya, and thank you for the question. So here's that other acronym, that other RIC acronym. So in our CTSA world, the Trial and Innovation Network has Trial Innovation Centers, and there's a Recruitment Innovation Center, or a RIC. So, and that's Vanderbilt. And so the RIC PAB, national PAB, has been running and has put out, successful best practices. So they are looking for 2 to 3 community members to enrich their diversity, particularly individuals or advocates for those living with a disability or differing ability. Also young adults under 30. They need some younger folks to join their CAB. And a nominee should have experience in research advisory or partnership roles. So this, for example, is participation in clinical trials, patient advocacy, community research partner, or community research team member. And so you can see here what to expect: 1 to 3 hours per month time commitment, providing this feedback, and compensation is included. If this sounds interesting to you, or if you know of someone who might be interested, please spread the word. We just wanted to share that opportunity. Okay. So taking what you learned from Andrea, we have rolled out a cost recovery, a fee model. So we have a menu of services, and this includes direct email, Epic MyChart, postal mail, and our Stanford Research Registry. So the Epic MyHealth, that is still in pilot at this time. And the way our menu is structured, I'll come back to this in a second. We meet with you at no cost, and then we've divided it up into waves. And so it doesn't actually matter how large each wave is, but the amount we did this based on effort. And so we have up to 6 waves, and then you can do additional waves. And getting it started is always the most time intensive. And so this second tier of add-on services is less expensive. So we have it for our different services here. We have a couple of extra services through Children's. We hope to be offering that in the future on the MyHealth side, as the Epic research modules are coming on board, led by Todd Ferris and Anthea Buchan's team. And then I wanted to just call out that we do really encourage non-English language and want to facilitate that. The Epic MyChart experience for the patient can be fully in Spanish. And direct email as well. We have we have the survey flow in Qualtrics. We can do Spanish. Epic My Health currently, we can upload a letter in Spanish, but unfortunately the dashboard itself within Epic would still be in English. So a little bit of a disconnect there. So at this time, we don't have experience facilitating language beyond Spanish, but that's definitely an important goal. So let us know if that's a priority for your research, and we'd love to work with you on that. Just sharing some data here. We've conducted 243 consults since we started tracking in 2019, and pretty nice spread across our services in terms of where there's interest. The My Health, I'm expect to increase a lot since it's one of our newly launched, relatively new compared to the other ones. This is an overall metrics. I've struggled with this slide, and we've been discussing as a team how to better illustrate this, because right now it's just completely aggregated data, and you can see that these interest rate ranges vary widely, anywhere from, we didn't get anybody interested, but maybe we only sent it to 50 folks with a rare condition, and the incentives to participate just weren't there, or there's so many reasons. It's like a very case-by-case study, what type of interest rate we would expect. So we look forward to breaking this out into different types of studies. So like seeing where we have a lot of interest, what sets them apart. And so bringing this up into different study types so we can better speak to what you might expect for your type of study. But it's pretty exciting that we've sent invitations to over 500,000 folks since we launched PEP, and that's across 64 unique studies. So that's over 6,000 people who have expressed interest to studies that they wouldn't otherwise have, it likely would not have heard about the study without the Honest Broker model. That's scalable.
Would you be able to say what is BPA? It's a question.
Oh, sure, yeah. Sorry, I took the slide that speaks to that out for this, assuming that most of you work in adult populations with SECR, but perhaps I should have left that slide in there. BPA stands for Best Practice Advisories, or often you hear it Best Practice Alerts, and it's a pop-up that appears within Epic when the provider is with the patient. And so it's prompting the provider to share the study with the patient during their visit. So it's pretty cool to have this real-time prompt. What's challenging, of course, is that having providers incorporate it into their busy workflow, they have to be oriented to the study. They can't just like be seeing this pop up and be like, what's this? They will just exit it out, right? Like they'll have to be expecting it. And so we would recommend like an orientation between the PI team and the provider team to make a plan for this Epic BPA for your research. But it's definitely an important tool that we want to expand. So we hope to be working on that for the SHC Epic side in the near future. And our research registry, we split it up between not COVID and COVID related. You could see a pretty large interest rate difference there when it was COVID related. Thanks to the pediatric COVID vaccine trial, we got a lot of kiddos enrolled. Families use our registry to convey their interest in the trial. And study pages, it remains an important resource that we love to link study teams up to. Many of you on here, I believe, have used study pages, particularly say that HIPAA compliant text messaging is a nice feature. But as Andrea mentioned, you'll be seeing that the Stanford Clinical Study Directory is going to have enhanced features for patients to express interest. So on that note, I included this slide here just to share. So existing the solid line, so clinicaltrials.gov, as you know, or hopefully know, you need to update clinicaltrials.gov and it'll flow to our Stanford Clinical Trials Directory. So sometimes when you're having trouble updating this, it's because you need to update it here first on CT.gov. Now, what about if your study doesn't require CT.gov, CT.gov posting? Then you could be stuck having it show here. So an exciting update is that Encore will be, our Stanford CTD will be pulling from Encore in addition to CT.gov. And TDS is working out the coding for that, like which data field comes from where. Then PEP pulls from Encore, as Andrea mentioned. So PEP is checking that we're not inviting folks already on study per Encore. And also, when you update your enrollment in Encore, that flows back, and we know for our PEP metrics that we helped you get that participant. So it's important for, for our efficacy. So right now, the PEP dashboard is honest broker facing. It's me, Andrea, and Maya. We use this PEP platform. But there's a new researcher-facing dashboard being planned as part of PEP, where you, study team, can get these insights directly on your recruitment metrics or participant engagement metrics. And that could include signups to the clinical trials directory. So you may notice on the cancer CTD side that there's a sign up. You can sign up for types of research that's interesting to you. So if I want to learn about all breast cancer trials, I could sign up for that. Well, that's being expanded to the rest of the clinical trials directory beyond cancer. And we have plans to incorporate our Stanford Research Registry, which is currently REDCap based, into this registry that's being built by the clinical trials directory. And then that could flow into this researcher facing dashboard for insights. So a lot there. This is also where investigators can update their profile, and which is where they would claim their studies rather than how it's done currently in the CAP profile for your investigator. All right, let me check the chat real quick. Okay, yeah, thanks for answering there. Okay, great. All right, so it's 12:53, and I wanted to get into some sort of newer information that hasn't been a part of our usual slide deck. So this strategizing worksheet, we've had this on our website for a long time, but I have a feeling not that many people find it. The Spectrum website can be hard to navigate, or at least our section is a little bit hard to navigate. So we're going to try to make that easier to find. But it's like this one pager where it's asking you to kind of put yourself in the shoes of your potential participants and work through, what are their daily lives like? What are the incentives? What are the barriers to participate? So in the interest of time, I won't go into each section, but this does cover like defining the characteristics of your population, identifying the barriers, thinking about aspects of the study startup, reaching your audience, implementation, guidance for recruitment materials, other general guidance, and other resources here. This is kind of just a nice brainstorming exercise you could have either yourself or collectively with your team in the planning process. Okay, disseminating results to study participants. Here I would love for folks to use the chat. So this is, study participants want to have research findings shared with them, and that's either in aggregate, like that's probably most likely what you're able to share is the aggregate findings. If possible, if it's appropriate, sharing individual level results is also very appreciated. And so this really should be standard practice, but I know that it often gets missed. Just study teams have a lot of the whole life cycle of the research program, and this can get forgotten. And it's just super important that we remember to do this as a way of thanking the participants for their time and contributions to the research. So if you've had experience sharing results to participants, if you could please, either raise your hand to share or type in the chat. We'd love to hear. But we're sort of on a mission to try to make this easier for you. Okay, good. Some chats. Are we still talking about the BPAs? There we go. Okay, so just some quick ideas, and I found this website was really helpful. Maya shared this. So this is VUMC is Vanderbilt. So they have a nice website that speaks to this. A narrative summary is one way to do this. So this could be through an email newsletter or mailed, infographic and video. And on that website, you can go ahead and download this template to get started. Has the headers already here for you. It encourages where to put a photo of what, and just makes it really, really easy. Why reinvent the wheel when this can help you get started with a narrative summary? And info. Okay, Susan, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, so Donna Williams is on this call too, but between Donna and I and one other nurse, we shared over 2,000 results with patients for Project Baseline. But that was 5 years, and they were having tons and tons of assessments done. And what we shared were things that actually needed attention. So, but it was 1,000 patients for 5 years. So we had a lot of things that needed attention. Real common ones were things like they had a bleb on their CT X-ray of their lung or something like that. And it was epidemiological research, so we couldn't really give advice. So that makes it hard to call somebody and say, hey, you have this 6 millimeter bleb on your CAT scan and you need to see your doctor with it. But they did create Verily, what was who we were working with, Google's Life Sciences, and they created a findings letter that made it much easier so that if there was a finding, we could actually write the definition out, and it was something that we shared with their doctor. We did stand back and say we can't call physicians ourselves, so we did put it on the participants. But this was 2,000 different calls we made over 5 years. We did them mostly by calls. If they didn't pick up the phone, then we would send them an email, but that didn't happen very often. Most people were anxious to get their results. The other thing that Project Baseline did is they had a dashboard and an online app. So patients got things like their routine blood count. They got and CBC. They got their results for their physical fitness assessments on an app. But we were working with Google. But, even then, the participants had a hard time with that app. So I think you always have to have a real person that can talk to people. I just really think that that's important. We spent a lot of time on that and had a huge database, but it was worthwhile. And our participants now that we're recruiting from Project Baseline, I was looking at your interest surveys on the registry slide. I am working directly with an investigator, and we have over 90% of the people that we have on our registry for Project Baseline who write back to us and are interested when we put out a study for them to participate in, because of, I think, that personal connection.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Susan, for sharing that example. Yeah, Project Baseline has a lot of good learnings. Cassidy, thank you so much for sharing in the chat. So an opt-in newsletter, great. Share links to published papers as well as study updates. Great idea. Other examples, real examples of sharing results with participants. All right, well, hopefully this can give some inspiration. We're hearing a lot about Canva. Andrea has used it a little bit for some of our materials, and you'll see in the next slide, our own Anisha Patel uses Canva she makes a video for all of their studies, and she has a team member use Canva. So this also on that, the Vanderbilt website, made this available where you can get started, where you put in what you need, and then Canva can generate a proposed graphic, and then you can edit it from there. So those of us who are not graphic designers, Canva makes it easy to get started. And here's an example here of what an infographic can look, a finished product. Looks really nice and easy to glean takeaways. A video. I think this is really becoming more and more important. We were chatting with Anisha the other day, and she just has found, like, for her studies that families watching a 4-minute video versus reading through the consent form. Obviously, the consent form is important, but to supplement the consent form with a video is really a nice way for people to have comprehension of the study. So we shared some examples. This is one where they had 2 separate videos, one in English, one in Spanish, about this growth study. This is summarizing the findings of the study. This one was basically explaining the study, and that one is using Canva, for example. And you can see, so this one's 3 minutes long, this one's almost 5 minutes long. So you're keeping it short and easy to digest this information. Okay. So with that, we would love to hear from you. So Cassidy, if you wouldn't mind, like, we could connect with you if, obviously anything, confidential, we don't want to share that. But to build a repository on our website of real examples of effective study communications. So if you're willing, please do share those. We can meet with you to discuss it. Check with your PI first, please. But this could be flyers, videos, informational or instructional. Like Dr. Sunny Anand's study, the hair biomarker study. They have during COVID, they moved to have the families collect the hair samples at home rather than coming in. My kids are in the study, and they had an instructional video for the parents of how to take the hair collection. And it made it super easy to follow a video versus like reading instructions. So definitely, I think the way forward is more short videos, and other ways of doing the TLDR for everyone's busy lives. So other examples: social media ads, newsletters, infographics, creative thank you cards, and anything else. Would love to learn from each other and help curate a collection to share. Okay, thanks, Cassidy. Grow study in Spanish, yep. And Maya says, yes, sharing trial results is becoming more and more common. Yeah. Great, as an element to the informed consent. Awesome. Great. Okay. All right, we'll do another breakout session, and we're doing well on time. So I'll let Susan put us into breakout rooms again, but just to reflect on, is there something new you learned today? Are there any other services or resources we covered that you're most excited about? And then thinking about dissemination strategies, what do you think would work well for your study? And then what would you like us to cover next time we do a presentation like this? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I will open the breakout rooms. Just bear with me. I put the questions already in the chat. So just bear with me here for a second.
All right, welcome back from your breakout rooms, everyone. I really appreciated listening to the discussion to the room that I joined. Would anyone like to share what was discussed in your reflections?
Hi, Catherine. I could share one comment that was
Hey,
in
John.
and that was, what would you recommend for a study team to do when they've already written their grant and they're struggling with doing the recruitment and they can't pay for services?
So a good one. Well, we will focus on our services in, when in our consult, we can focus on our services that do not have costs associated. There's, I don't think we had this particular slide, but our PI provider co-invitation template, for example, is a resource we can provide. It will require the study team, to do the STAR chart review where you ask for the provider name of your, the provider name for the participants you're trying to reach. And then you could discuss with your PI, hey, PI, do you know any of these providers? Do you think there could be a, is there already an existing relationship there, like collegial, where we could, where the provider might be willing to invite their patients to the study on behalf? So we have a template for that, again, called the PI provider co-invitation template. And this could be sent a variety of ways from the provider, a My Health message, secure email, probably not the best choice, postal mail. You could convert it into a phone script and put that and submit that to your IRB. So there are a number of resources that, they have the effort cost rather than the price cost. Would be happy to, we do understand a lot of our consults are post budget, the budget's in place, and it's painful for us when it's like, oh, we want to do honest broker services and it's an unfunded study. But we will, we'll do our best to work with you to try to support where you are in your recruitment journey. A lot of times the study team is like, well, I can't implement this for my current study, but I'm going to keep this in mind for my next study. And then that way we're able to guide you for budgeting purposes for that next project. Good question. I'll summarize a little bit what I heard in the room that I joined. A participant shared about when there was a more serious, and the person who I'm quoting, feel free to chime in if you'd wish, but I don't want to name you if you don't want to be named. An interventional trial for their kid. And so I was realizing, when I said, make a video, the TLDR version of your study, obviously when it's an interventional study, if it's requiring surgery, drug device, going through the potential risks and benefits of the study, obviously you really have to take your time with that and make sure that a potential participant's questions are answered. Or she had mentioned like, when her child's involved, the child is trusting the doctor. The child doesn't have questions. So making sure you recognize where maybe the knowledge base that your potential participant has, to be proactive and encouraging them to ask questions, anticipating what questions they might have. And then that's not even mentioning, making sure that it's in their language if as appropriate and culturally competent. And those are challenges, I know. But, the examples I shared were like a weight loss study and water intervention. So those, the cost benefits are a little bit more easier to digest than, say an interventional study where you really have to go through those details and make sure they're understood.
I can share too, Catherine, with the team that I joined in. So for what's something they're excited about, we had someone in our group say they were excited about using study pages. It was something new for them, and they were interested in all the features that were offered. Great.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I could go to that slide where we have our, sorry about that. So you can reach us, engage participants. We'd be happy to meet with you. All right, if there are no other hands raised or chats, I think, Andrea and I could stay on till 1:30. We have 8 more minutes left. Anyone who, maybe wants some individual questions answered. But I think the main presentation, we're done if we want to wrap up.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Was really very informative, and thank you so much for providing all the details and the contact information so they can hopefully consider that ahead of time and reach out to you to build it into the study budget as well. I guess I will go ahead and stop recording. So